Do you have any under the radar names that have really impressed you from camp? Maybe guys that are fighting for roster spots that have really opened up some eyes, you think?
Yeah, I mean, Mack Wilson isn't really an under the radar name, but he's a guy that that kind of came in on the bubble with the draft picks they had, with the guys they brought in. Mack Wilson, I thought, was potentially a candidate to be cut. I don't think that's the case anymore. I think he's going to end up starting next to Anthony Walker Jr. They're going to kind of play more of a 4-2-5 with 5 defensive backs. But I think Mack Wilson's had a really, really nice camp. Said he kind of got really down on himself last year with the injuries and whatnot. And this year he's come back with a vengeance, and he's playing athletically. That was kind of the big thing about Mack coming out of college, was how athletic he was. And, he was still young when he came out, and he's still young in the league. So I think Mack Wilson's been pretty good. Troy Hill isn't necessarily, a smaller name, but I think he's been impressive. Again, a guy they signed this offseason to help their defense. Other than that, a lot of the names are bigger names. I mean, Andrew Billings has been good. I think Malik Jackson has been good. John Johnson III has been good. I mean, there really haven't been any outside of maybe some of the rookies, like you said, JOK, just coming out, after the 10 days with COVID. But those are the couple of guys that I've really liked. Offensively, again, I feel like everybody's a big name, and those are the guys that are just getting after it. I would say Demetric Felton would be the one that I would say has had a really good camp.
Do you think they'll look at him to return kicks? I mean, I think that's a sign. If they start looking in that neighborhood, I think that's a pretty good sign. They're finding a reason to use him and keep him on the 53-man roster.
Yeah, yes, definitely. JoJo Natson at this point is definitely in that mix too. A guy from Akron who the Browns like, but I think Demetric Felton could definitely play into that role. He's got that quickness, he's got that vision. I think it would be great for him to be in that role. He's like you said earlier, he's a wide receiver hybrid, kind of a running back as well, so he could do a lot of things. I really like JoJo Natson. Obviously went down with the ACL last year, didn't really affect them too much, but they brought the whole squad back, so it'll be interesting to see if they want to go with the veteran and they want to just let Demetric Felton kind of learn the game as the first-string running back, or if they just want to throw him out there. I mean, Donovan Peoples-Jones did it a little bit last year. I could see Demetric Felton definitely going in that direction.
The other thing is, and you touched on it a little bit, they have the joint practices with the Giants coming up. So that might be another reason that these starters are resting. You don't want to bring them back and have them doing drills against a different team in like 3-4 days, whatever it is.
Yeah, definitely. And I think when you do that, you do it in a controlled setting. There's not a controlled setting in that preseason game. I'm not a fan of the preseason in terms of playing games, especially given the COVID and everything else. So I definitely like the idea of the controlled practices where you have set drills, set times, where sometimes you're you're going to go full speed and you're going to tackle, but most of the time you're just going to kind of, compete. And I love that. So that is when I think the Browns will show off some of their starters. Maybe even in that preseason game, you might see like a series of Baker, maybe. But other than that, there's no real need. I don't think you'll see Odell this preseason. You might see a series of Jarvis. You might see a little bit of Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt, Baker. But other than that, there's no real reason to put those guys out there. You're looking to win a Super Bowl this year, and you don't want to, necessarily play them too hard in the preseason. There's a long season, even longer than before, with 17 games. So you want to make sure those guys are ready for the long haul.